Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be discussing Crash Team Rumble because I have quite a few opinions on it. So, the beta closed a few days ago, and I didn't want to upload it during the beta because, my opinions could have changed easily from making a video, just rushing it out. So, I wanted to give it a few days after it closed so I can fully form my opinions on it. So, I hope you enjoy. I want to talk about the feedback to Crash Team Rumble because it's been a little mixed. Some people saying that they think the game's really fun, to it's alright, and the other people saying that this game looks terrible and is probably the worst Crash game ever made. Now, most people's reaction was the latter to this. They thought this game looked absolutely terrible, and I kind of agreed. I didn't think it looked terrible. I think it looks alright. And it's obvious that most people thought this because the reception and view counts were noticeably lower than Crash 4's announcement. But that's not all important. If the game isn't actually fun and you don't find it fun, the amount of people playing it, unless it fully dies, isn't that big of an issue, unless of course, in this case, it's a multiplayer game, then it kind of needs to have a good reception and player base. I mean, I believe that this game will go on for a while, not too long. I don't think it's like a new Fortnite or something like that, as much as I hate bringing up the Fortnite comparison. That game's lasted for way too long. But it does seem like it would have been a pick up for 5 minutes and drop it because you don't find it fun anymore. So, the beta release happened April 20th and lasted to April 24th, and most people's judgment on the game that it was pretty fun, but in my opinion, I have to agree. This game is really, really fun. It's probably one of the more fun Crash games I've ever played. I enjoyed it more than Nitro Fueled, at least. I don't think it's as good as Nitro Fueled, like on a quality and, actual nostalgic factor, but I've had more fun playing Crash Team Rumble than I ever did playing most other Crash games, and that was just in the first day of releasing. I was practically addicted. I played most days, only not playing once, because it's only a beta. There wasn't that much overall from the game, and still, for a beta, there was a lot to it. But from what I've played, it looks great, and in my opinion, the amount of time we got, which was only 5 days, was plenty. They could have easily done 2 or 4 days, and I would have been happy with it. Now, the actual gameplay itself is really fun. I think this was the best way they could have done a multiplayer game. I don't think this game would have worked as a actual team deathmatch. I don't think this game would have worked well as any of a stereotypical game. It's kind of like its own thing, and even the developers didn't really know what to call it to begin with. It does feel like an arena game more than anything, but with platforming, and I have to say, the platforming is definitely its best aspect. It's built off the same engine of Crash 4, and it just feels so smooth to play because Crash 4 felt so good to play as well. So I don't think they could have fucked up on that aspect. So they already have a good basis, and the gameplay loop is really fun and doesn't get old too quickly. Now, of course, it did get old after a few days of playing, but that's only because, well, there's only 3 maps. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more in the actual release. And I want to get to my opinions on the actual characters, because I have a few complaints. Now, the first character I want to talk about is probably the most controversial one so far, which is Dingodile. I don't think anyone really enjoys playing against Dingodile. He just feels like an overbuffed tank, and playing against him really doesn't feel fun in the slightest. the fact that the main strategy for him is camp on enemy base, kill enemy players. If you get killed, go right back. And it really gets annoying, especially when there's two Dingodals. It just becomes infuriating when they're both on the point and you cannot score whatsoever while you watch their two scorers or booster actually like do stuff. Well, you have to try and get your whole team over. Speaking of, there's no voice chat in the game. I'm sure this is just because it's the beta. But if this carries over to the main game, I'm going to have a massive issue with it. The fact that you have to be in a party of friends to even communicate to go over is really annoying. Now, I don't know if that was just me. I didn't search through the settings. It could just be me. But I didn't see it in the settings. So, tell me if I'm wrong. But I hope they fix that, because it got really annoying eventually. But back to Dingodile, he's so slow and clunky to play as well, which really makes you not want to play him in the slightest. It gets really, really annoying after a while. Next up was Coco. I kind of found Coco a bit annoying, because she just basically feels like a less fun version of Crash. Now, of course, because it's practically the same thing apart from no slide, she still was really fun to play. Now, Coco was probably my worst performing character out of all of them, but that doesn't mean she's bad. I think she's quite fun to play, but why play Coco when you have Crash? The only reason I can see you playing Coco is because of the booster, and also because the wall can get pretty annoying to play against, and the dash ability, while it doesn't feel good to play, does get a lot of distance in. Now, I know I'm sounding a bit negative right now about it, but that all changes right now, in fact. Explosion. Next is Crash, and he just feels just the more fun and better version of Coco. I feel like it's a bit of a weird change that they turned his slide to R2, but that's just a nitpick, and I'll just have to get used to it. It's kind of just muscle memory for it to be a different button, aka Crash 4. But apart from that, not really much to say about Crash. He's just kind of classic Crash, which makes him fun, which makes him the most popular character by far. Next is the character I thought was probably my least favourite, but turns out I actually really enjoy playing Cortex. Now, originally I thought Cortex was pretty bad, and the gameplay I'm showing is a bit old, because I think it was either day 1 or day 2 of the game releasing, and I was awful when the game first came out. I've gotten a bit better from then, but anyway, back on track to Cortex. Now, I thought he was really bad. His gameplay didn't feel, fun at first, and he felt clunky at first. But once I got used to him and started to play him more, he's really fun. Turning enemies into, hopeless animals that I will murder one day. No, okay, that was a joke, maybe. Depends on how my future goes, I guess. It's really fun. Dropping piano on people is a little bit silly, and I think his blaster is a bit underwhelming, but only a little. I didn't really have much complaints about Cortex after a while. He was definitely one of the more fun characters. So lastly is Torna. Torna was definitely my favourite character. Her moveset feels really fun, does a lot of damage, or at least to me it did. And she has definitely the highest mobility in the game. I don't have much to complain about her, other than she has low health, but because my favourite Skylander in Skylander series is Trigger Happy, that has one of the lowest healths in the entire series, I can't really be complaining about that too much. Just a side note, Torna was the only character I got all the challenges complete with, so that definitely proves that she's my favourite. Now I want to talk about some miscellaneous stuff. First of all, I think the announcer is way too annoying. I'm not too bothered with his voice, but he talks way too much and is a little loud, but that might just be my problem because I didn't really mess around with the settings too much. The Battle Pass does feel a little strange in a fucking Crash game. The fact that there's a Battle Pass does feel a little weird, but I'm not too bothered by it, as much as other people were. I'm not sure how the currency system's going to work. I guess we'll have to see when the actual game comes out, because there's going to be a shop. I think the cosmetics actually look great in this game. The challenges that you had to complete were fun, and like I said earlier, I did get everything with Torna, but I want to get everything with every character once the game fully releases. Another thing is that your progress doesn't save from the beta, which I was a bit annoyed about at first, but I'm not, like, gonna complain about it. Like, I don't care anymore. Yeah, that's really it with Crash Team Rumble. I think the game shouldn't be taken as a, you know, game that you take seriously. That's not what it was going for. This game is primarily made to be a fun game, and I think it does it perfectly. This is such a fun game, and honestly, I can't wait for the release. But hey, thanks for watching the video. If this somehow convinced you to try out Crash Team Rumble when it comes out, please do. The more the merrier for this game, and I really want to see this game succeed at it. And thank you for watching the video. I spent 5 minutes on it. Fuck you. In all seriousness, if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 300 subs by the end of the year, so if you could help me do that, then, thanks. Why the fuck did you watch through this long?